What if I told you the most powerful weapon on the F-35 isn't its missiles? Intro: The Age of the Invisible Fighter. For more than a century, the nature of air combat has been defined by speed, altitude, and the roar of engines tearing through the sky. From the canvas-covered biplanes of World War I to the fourth-generation fighters that dominated the Cold War, the evolution of the fighter jet followed a pattern: fly higher, fly faster, carry more weapons. But then, everything changed. In the early 2000s, a new aircraft emerged, one unlike anything the world had seen before. A jet that didn't just fly, it thought. A machine designed not simply to win dogfights, but to make sure the enemy never even realized a dogfight had begun. This aircraft was the F-35 Lightning II. A jet so controversial, so technologically advanced, and so expensive that it sparked debates across governments, militaries, and aviation communities. But behind the headlines, behind the criticism, lies a truth that few fully understand. The F-35 didn't just improve air combat, it rewrote the rules entirely. This is its story. The coming storm. At the end of the Cold War, the United States faced a growing problem. Their fighter fleet was aging. The F-16s and F-A-18s, once cutting edge, were no longer capable of defeating the threats emerging from nations developing stealth technology, hypersonic missiles, and advanced radars. The Pentagon needed something new, something revolutionary, something that could survive on the battlefields of tomorrow. And so, the idea behind the F-35 was born. A multi-role stealth fighter capable of replacing decades of aircraft with one unified system. But this wasn't just about building a new fighter. This was about creating a digital combat ecosystem where every jet, every drone, and every sensor could merge into a single all-seeing network. The world was on the brink of a new era, and the F-35 would be the spark that ignited it. Designing a ghost. Traditional fighters rely on maneuverability, thrust, and weapons to win battles. But the designers of the F-35 aimed for something different. They wanted invisibility. Not perfect invisibility, no aircraft is truly invisible, but a jet so stealthy that enemy radars would detect it only when it was already too late. Its shape. The F-35's smooth surface, angled edges, and internal weapons bays hide its radar signature, giving it the appearance of a small bird on enemy screens. Its skin, a radar-absorbent coating that bends and traps radio waves, reducing reflections. Its heat signature, engine shielding that cools the exhaust plume, making it harder for infrared sensors to track. But stealth was only one part of the equation. The F-35 needed a brain capable of processing millions of pieces of data per second, a brain that would give pilots not only superior vision, but superhuman vision. The God's eye view. The true power of the F-35 lies in a single concept: sensor fusion. Before the F-35, pilots had to interpret dozens of gauges, sensors, and displays. Threats were tracked independently. Radar had to be manually adjusted. Situational awareness was a constant struggle. But the F-35 changed everything. A fighter that feels the entire battlefield. Every radar ping, every infrared signal, every electronic emission, all of it is fused into one unified, crystal-clear tactical picture. The pilot sees what every sensor sees. The pilot knows what every friendly aircraft knows. The pilot understands what the enemy is doing before the enemy understands themselves. This is the true revolution of the F-35. Not its stealth, not its speed, not even its weapons, but its mind. The helmet from the future. The F-35's most iconic piece of technology isn't part of the aircraft at all. It's the $400,000 pilot helmet. A helmet that doesn't just display information, it replaces the cockpit. A pilot simply looks at an enemy target, and a weapons lock appears. Looks through the floor,
and the jet becomes transparent, looks at the horizon, and the jet maps every threat automatically. The helmet is connected directly to the aircraft's sensor suite, projecting radar data, infrared signatures, enemy aircraft paths, ground targets, friendly positions, missile warnings, navigation, combat cues, right onto the visor. The pilot sees everything, and the enemy sees nothing.
The first tests. When the F-35 entered early testing, critics were brutal. It was called too slow, too heavy, too expensive, too reliant on software. Analysts claimed older jets like the F-16 could defeat it in close combat. Newspapers declared it a failure. Experts predicted it would never work. And then the tests continued. In controlled combat simulations, something unexpected happened. The F-35 wasn't just winning, it was dominating. In some scenarios, it achieved kill ratios of 20-1 against advanced enemy aircraft. Not because it turned tighter, not because it flew faster, but because the enemy never got close enough to fight back. Stealth, sensors, and electronic warfare turned the jet into a predator that hunted from the shadows. The world's militaries started paying attention. A global network is born. More than a dozen nations selected the F-35 as their next-generation fighter. This wasn't just an aircraft purchase, it was the creation of a global combat network. Imagine, US F-35s in the Pacific, British F-35s over the Atlantic, Japanese F-35s in the East China Sea, Italian and Polish F-35s in Europe, all sharing data, all connected, all seeing the same battlefield. No other fighter in history has ever created a global military web like this. The F-35 became not just a jet, but a strategic alliance, a digital shield, a force multiplier, a weapon of deterrence. The first real missions. When the F-35 flew its first combat missions in the Middle East, and later in the Indo-Pacific region, the results were classified, but telling. Commanders reported that the jet detected enemy air defenses before detection, mapped entire regions in real time, identified hostile aircraft hundreds of miles away, conducted strikes without alerting enemy sensors. For adversaries, this was terrifying, because if the F-35 appears on your radar, it's already too late.
Why the F-35 changed air combat forever. The F-35 didn't redefine air combat by being a better dogfighter. It redefined air combat by ending the dogfight altogether. Modern air warfare is no longer about turning circles in the sky. It's about information dominance. And the F-35 is the first fighter in history built entirely around that concept. It sees first, it shoots first, it survives first. The F-35 made the battlefield a digital domain, a domain where human reaction times are enhanced by AI, where enemy aircraft are hunted long before their pilots know they're in danger, where missile defenses can be mapped, jammed, or destroyed with seamless precision. The F-35 didn't just evolve air combat. It ended one era and began another.
The world takes notice. When the F-35 first entered military service, many nations watched cautiously from a distance. The price tag was enormous, development delays were frequent, and skeptics argued that the jet was too complex to succeed. But the results spoke for themselves. In exercise after exercise, war game after war game, the F-35 proved one undeniable truth: information wins wars. Red flag exercises, a turning point. The U.S. Air Force's red flag training exercises are designed to mimic real war conditions. Fighter pilots from around the world come to Nevada to train against elite adversaries, including professional aggressor pilots. When the F-35 joined Red Flag, expectations were low, but what happened shocked everyone. The F-35 posted kill ratios so high that officials refused to publish the exact numbers. Pilots described engagements where opposing aircraft never even realized they were being targeted. One F-35 pilot stated, "By the time they see us, the fight is already over." For the first time, the world understood. This wasn't just a fighter jet. This was a battlefield advantage. The empire of data. Traditional jets rely on pilot skill, onboard sensors, and external support like AWACS aircraft. The F-35 changed that entire structure by making every jet a flying intelligence node. Every F-35 is an AWACS, a spy plane, and a fighter, combined. Its surface-mounted sensors analyze electronic signals from enemy radars, heat signatures from aircraft and vehicles, missile launch events, ground movements, communications patterns, and the jet does this instantly before feeding it into a machine learning-enhanced combat system. The combat cloud. Imagine a storm cloud, but instead of rain, it delivers data. Every jet inside the cloud knows everything every other jet knows. This is the future of warfare, and the F-35 is the first aircraft to weaponize it. No fighter in history, Russian, Chinese, or Western, comes close to replicating this capability at scale. AI at the heart of the F-35. The aircraft constantly prioritizes threats, suggests weapons, chooses flight paths, monitors the pilot's workload, inputs enemy behavior into predictive models. In early simulations, pilots found the AI was so fast that they could focus entirely on strategy, not survival. The F-35 transformed the pilot from a traditional aviator into a battlefield commander. The weapons of invisible war. While the F-35 is best known for its stealth and sensors, its weapons speak a different kind of language, a language of precision and silence. Internal weapons bay. Stealth fighters must hide their weapons inside their body to avoid radar detection. The F-35 carries AIM-120 AMRAAM missiles, AIM-9X Sidewinders, GBU-31 JDAM precision bombs, STBs, small diameter bombs, special electronic attack payloads, all tucked neatly inside. But what makes these weapons powerful is not just their accuracy, it's the fact that enemies never know they're coming. The beyond visual range advantage. Because the F-35 can detect threats from hundreds of miles away, it almost never engages in dogfights. It kills before the enemy crosses the merge. Older jets rely on pilot reflexes. The F-35 relies on information dominance and wins with near-perfect efficiency. The dogfight debate. No topic in aviation sparks more arguments than one question. Can the F-35 win a dogfight? Early reports claimed it couldn't. Critics pointed to test logs showing the F-35 losing close-range engagements to older jets. But what most people forget is this. The F-35 was never built for dogfighting. Its purpose is to avoid dogfights entirely. However, when forced into close combat, the truth surprised everyone. Upgraded software, improved flight control laws, and new tactics transformed the F-35's performance. Pilots now report that the F-35 holds energy extremely well. The high angle of attack flight mode gives it unexpected agility. The DAS system lets pilots see where enemies are, even behind them. The jet can point its nose at targets faster than expected. One pilot stated, "In a dogfight, I know where the enemy is at all times, and he has no idea where I am." In simulations, modernized F-35s now outperform F-16s, the very aircraft critics argued were superior. The dogfight myth is just that, a myth. The reality is far more nuanced. The F-35 doesn't need to win a dogfight, but it can. The cost controversy. No aircraft in history has been criticized more for its price than the F-35. Some called it a $1 trillion disaster. But the truth is different when viewed across decades. Cost per aircraft dropped dramatically. Early prototypes cost over $200 million each. By 2023, the price fell to $80 million, making the F-35 cheaper than a Eurofighter, Rafale, or F-15EX. Economies of scale changed everything. Operating costs fell as well. New engine upgrades, maintenance software, and better supply chains are reducing the cost per hour every year. The world's most advanced stealth jet is now competitive with fourth-gen fighters in maintenance cost, while delivering 10 times the capability. Why critics were wrong? People expected the F-35 to be a better F-16, a better F/A-18, a better A-10. But the F-35 isn't a better version of anything. It is a new category of aircraft entirely. The price reflects that transformation. Stealth versus anti-stealth tech. As the F-35 rose, adversaries raced to develop countermeasures. New radar bands, infrared detectors, and data processing systems appeared around the globe. But stealth is not a single technology. It is an ecosystem. Why stealth still works? Detection is one thing, targeting is another. An F-35 may appear on a specialized radar briefly, but locking a missile onto it is nearly impossible. The aircraft constantly jams incoming radar, manipulates its signal, uses terrain masking, spoofs enemy detection systems, remains invisible to fire control radars. Stealth is not about being unseen, it is about being untargetable. And the F-35 achieves that flawlessly. The F-35 in a real war. Much of what the F-35 has done in actual combat remains classified, but what has been released paints a clear picture. Israel, first combat use. Israeli F-35s flew missions over hostile airspace defended by advanced missile systems. Military officials later stated, the F-35 flew where no other aircraft in the world could fly. The jet identified targets deep underground, tracked mobile launchers, avoided detection by Russian-made systems, shared data with other jets and ground units, conducted strikes with complete surprise. U.S. Marine Corps F-35B, first strike mission. In Afghanistan and Iraq, F-35Bs operated from amphibious ships, making them the world's first stealth jets to launch from non-aircraft carriers. Commanders reported 0 losses, high mission success, near-perfect situational awareness. The jet became a silent hunter. Japan, South Korea, and the Indo-Pacific. In Asia, F-35s routinely monitor Chinese H-6K nuclear bombers, J-20 stealth fighters, North Korean missile sites. Their ability to detect and track adversaries long before detection has transformed regional security.
The next evolution, Block 4. The F-35 is not a finished product. It is a platform, and the next major leap, known as Block 4, will redefine air combat again. Block 4 upgrades include new radar with greater range, 30+ additional weapons, more powerful computer core, artificial intelligence targeting improvements, advanced electronic warfare suite, enhanced stealth materials, long-range anti-ship missiles, hypersonic weapon compatibility, expanded infrared detection. The most important upgrade, 25 times more processing power. The F-35's brain is being rebuilt from the inside. This will allow real-time satellite integration, autonomous threat recognition, shared targeting across fleets, drone wingman command, swarm control capability. With Block 4, the F-35 becomes the central node of future air warfare.
The drone revolution. The next major shift in military aviation is the rise of loyal wingmen drones, uncrewed aircraft that fly alongside manned jets. The F-35 is already being tested as a command aircraft for these systems. Drones it may control include long-range strike drones, electronic warfare drones, surveillance drones, decoy drones, air-to-air combat drones. In upcoming conflicts, an F-35 may fly with 4 to 6 loyal wingmen, multiplying its power exponentially. The aircraft becomes a strategist, a coordinator, a commander, a digital warfighting hub. This is the future of air combat, and the F-35 is its starting point. The silent shield. The F-35 is not only an offensive weapon, it is a global defensive system. Nations that operate the aircraft instantly gain something priceless, situational awareness across entire regions. Air policing over Europe. When NATO scrambled F-35s to intercept Russian aircraft near Baltic airspace, something interesting happened. The F-35 pilots weren't surprised. They already knew the Russian aircraft were coming. Long before they appeared on conventional radar, the F-35's passive sensors detected radio wave emissions, heat signatures, flight patterns, electronic noise, and passed the data to Allied aircraft below. Pacific defense. In the Indo-Pacific, Japanese and South Korean F-35s routinely track foreign jets and bombers operating near their borders. Their sensors map the airspace like a digital net stretching hundreds of miles. Commanders call it the silent shield, a defensive barrier that is invisible, untouchable, and always active. For adversaries, this is deeply unsettling, because when an F-35 is in the sky, they are never sure what the jet can see, and that uncertainty is power.
The rivalry, J-20 and Su-57. No discussion of the F-35 is complete without examining its competitors. Two aircraft in particular often appear in comparison: China's J-20 Mighty Dragon, Russia's Su-57 Felon. Both are marketed as answers to U.S. stealth power, but the reality is more complex. The J-20, built for a different purpose. The Chinese J-20 is a large twin-engine aircraft designed primarily for long-range interception, missile launching from outside engagement zones, command and control escort roles. It is not optimized for dogfighting or close-range stealth. Its frontal aspect stealth is strong, but its sides and rear are not. Against an F-35, the J-20's large radar cross-section becomes a vulnerability. In simulated engagements, the F-35's sensor fusion and stealth mean the F-35 sees the J-20 long before the J-20 sees the F-35. And in modern warfare, seeing first means winning. The Su-57, a fighter without a fleet. Russia's Su-57 is maneuverable and fast, undeniably impressive. But the jet suffers from limited production numbers, no integrated stealth ecosystem, inconsistent radar cross-section, underdeveloped avionics, no sensor fusion structure comparable to the F-35. Russia has fewer than 20 operational Su-57s. The F-35 program has more than 1,000 aircraft delivered. The gap is not just technological. The gap is strategic depth. The future belongs to systems, not single aircraft. And the F-35 is the world's first true system of systems fighter. The human element. It is easy to talk about hardware and software, but the heart of the F-35 program is the pilot. The aircraft is designed not to overwhelm, but to empower. Training transformation. Past generations trained pilots to master radar operation, memorize switch positions, interpret scattered sensor data. F-35 pilots are trained differently. They are trained to think like commanders, not just aviators. Simulator time is immense. Pilots practice battles involving dozens of aircraft, missiles, and ground threats simultaneously, because when they enter the real sky, their jet thinks with them. The pilot becomes strategist, hunter, controller, guardian, network coordinator. A single F-35 pilot can guide drones, direct strikes, and alert allies across hundreds of miles. No fighter pilot in history had such reach. War without warning. The most significant impact of the F-35 is something rarely discussed. It changes how wars start. In previous generations, an air battle began with radar detection, aircraft scrambling, dogfights, long chases across the sky. But with the F-35, war can begin and end without the enemy realizing what happened. Scenario: a hostile nation deploys mobile missile launchers. Minutes later, F-35s detect their electronic emissions, identify their location, classify their model, share data with command centers, mark them for immediate destruction. Before the launchers can move, they are gone. No dogfight, no radar alarms, no reaction time, just quiet, precise elimination. This is why the F-35 changed air combat forever. It shifted warfare from reaction to prediction, from visible to invisible, from speed to information. The critics return. Even now, critics argue. The F-35 is too expensive, too software dependent, too slow compared to older fighters, too complex to maintain.
too reliant on networks. Some criticisms hold truth, but critics always forget something vital. Weapons evolve to meet the wars they will face, not the wars of the past. Speed mattered in Vietnam. Agility mattered in the Cold War. But in the age of hypersonic missiles, advanced radar, and electronic warfare, information is the weapon of supremacy. The F-35 embodies that shift more than any aircraft in history. And because of that, critics often misunderstand its purpose. The F-35 is not just a fighter, it is a strategy.
The future battlefield. As the world edges toward a new era of great power competition, the question becomes, what role will the F-35 play in the wars of tomorrow? The answer is simple. It will be the backbone of Allied air power. Consider future conflicts involving cyber warfare, stealth drones, hypersonic missiles, AI-driven combat, satellite warfare, electronic jamming. The F-35 is built for this environment. In a future war, F-35s will guide drone swarms. F-35s will neutralize enemy radars before jets even take off. F-35s will coordinate missile attacks across branches of the military. F-35s will act as airborne data routers connecting all forces. It will be the brain of the air battlefield. Other jets may be the fists, but the F-35 is the mind.
A global sky. Look at the world map and you'll see the US, United Kingdom, Italy, Japan, Australia, Norway, Israel, South Korea, Belgium, Finland, Poland, Denmark, Netherlands, Germany, all buying the same aircraft. Why? Because the F-35 creates a unified global air defense network. Each nation contributes to a single, interconnected shield that spans the globe. In the past, Allied air forces operated independently. Now, they share one digital sky. A threat to one is a threat to all. Because the moment one F-35 detects danger, every F-35 in the region instantly knows. This has never happened in the history of warfare.
The legacy of the F-35. Every game-changing technology is misunderstood in its early years. The jet engine, the radar, the stealth fighter, the drone. The F-35 continues this pattern. But decades from now, history will remember it not for controversies, but for the revolution it sparked. It changed what it means to be invisible. It changed what it means to be a pilot. It changed what it means to be safe in the sky. It changed the very definition of air combat. And it changed the world long before most people realized it. The story of air combat began with the roar of engines. Then came the speed race. Then the stealth revolution. Now we enter a fourth era. An era defined not by how fast an aircraft flies, but by how much it knows. The F-35 does not dominate the sky by force. It dominates the sky by understanding it. 1,000 sensors, a global network, a pilot transformed, a battlefield rewritten. The future of air power is not metal, it is information. And the aircraft that mastered it first was the F-35 Lightning II.